Hello, everybody. My name is Alejandro Carlos, and I will be doing my presentation on communication and culture for comm 1000. So the main goal of this presentation is to really sort of just reduce the extent that we misunderstand what other people mean when they're talking in different cultures of communication, reduce our actions that can be misinterpreted by others in the way we talk or the way we react to certain people's what they say, and as well as increase our abilities to communicate clearly with people from different cultures or in our same culture and explaining it to other people, and as well as help others by clarifying what they mean if we know or finding clarification for ourselves. And so, what we'll discuss the basic definition of communication and culture, how cultures are different from one another, and as well as how to adjust to a new community if we do like move or go to a new place where there is a new culture that we would have to adjust ourselves to. So communication, really basic definition, it's an exchange of thoughts, messages, or information by signals, writing, speech, or behavior. The two types, I know we've discussed this in class, whether it's nonverbal communication or verbal communication. And culture. Culture is the way of life or the way for a group of people, usually um, usually passed on from one generation to the next, and really our each and it affects the way we communicate, it affects the way we live our life. Culture plays such a huge role in the people we are today, the people we end up becoming, the way we react to certain situations, the friends we have, the food we eat, the way we eat our food, and just culture has such a huge impact on who we are as people, as humans. And so, what are ways that cultures are different from one another, and how they can affect communication with one another from different cultures? And so, I'll list these. I'll go into a little bit of depth with these five, where it's converse, conversational styles, narrative styles, stance and attitudes, personal responsibility, and face-to-face communication. So, in understanding cultural differences, we have to understand that there are different conversational styles: soft and loud tones, slow and fast pace, and as well as gestural, like with using your hands or just standing still. And a couple of examples of this are in the Latino culture with Mexicans. In Mexico, we talk with a very a slower pace type of Spanish, but if you talk to Puerto Ricanos from Puerto Rico, they talk with a very fast-paced and loud but not super loud voice. But Cubans from Cuba, they talk with a very loud tone and very direct tone. That's just a little example of different types of conversational styles from Latino culture. And cultures may differ on the way they tell a story, narrative styles specifically, which story they're telling, whether it's an old story from a family story that's been passed down from generation, or if it's just an ideal channel, ideal medium, but just a generic regular story. It could be super exaggerated or very detailed to detail. And the other is stance and attitudes, the way people's frame of mind or beliefs. It affects their behavior, thoughts. But like an example would be middle class white Northern Americans. They indicate their interest by a lot more eye contact. Um, the way the way they someone may smile more. Different cultures may smile more. Some people may nod. Some people may just stand still in different cultures, and it can be interpreted differently based on your culture, and many times it can be interpreted in a good way, or sometimes it could be in a sort of act of maybe disrespect, depending on where your culture comes from. And the act of personal responsibility in different communications with different cultures, it's the perception of doing the right thing where differences exist in, whether it's limiting the express of one's view or limits to acceptable actions. And in face-to-face communication or for different cultures, it can be when people are standing next to each other in a group setting, whether you're addressing people by their names, by their first name, or Mr., Mrs., or even here, like in Hawaii, we many times it's uncle, auntie, or their titles based on who they are, or even greetings. Sometimes it can be a hug, it can be a formal handshake, or many times, especially in the Latino culture, it is a kiss on the cheek followed by a hug, and just the way different greetings can be all across the world. And so, if we're coming into this new community with a new culture, whether you moved or you're coming to a new place, I something I'd encourage just in really just to, that way you don't offend anyone, but at the same time you can come in respectfully by researching what the where you're going and the culture and the environment is and where you're going, cultural norms, learning some basic words or how things are said, or that way you don't misunderstand something and get thrown off by it, but that way you're kind of known into what's going to happen. Be tolerant and patient. Be patient in being able to learn, being able to understand little by little as time really goes on. But as well as observe the way your surroundings, observe the way people react towards things, observe the way people's actions are played out in certain areas, and you'll be able to identify more differences when you do join a new culture. And in closing, the world is only going to get more diverse and diverse, and as we continue to go on, and really it'll occur primarily through migration, but cultures are different in many ways, and many communications reflect culture in its most beautiful way, and how each culture communicates differently can be so unique to that specific culture. And really, I encourage you guys as students, as we continue to go through the rest of our lives, that to take steps to understand and really enjoy the beauty of other people's cultures that we see. Thank you for watching my presentation.